What is up, world? I have not vlogged in a long time, and that's kind of because like life got a hold of me, and I was doing things that were different to the idea that I had about YouTube. But the funny thing is sometimes you veer off and you go do different things, and then you find yourself straight back at the same spot that you were in before. And it doesn't mean that any of the stuff that you did in the meantime was a waste of time, but it's just funny how you just end up back in the same spot, being asked to face the same thing until you really face it. And so here I am again, working on my YouTube channel, almost like that starting from zero video. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. I'll put the thing here. I have gone through some changes, big changes, and change can be difficult, you know, like in my astrology chart, in my natal chart, I don't really have very much mutable energy, right? I'm great at starting things, I can stick things through, but you know, me and finishing things, they're just not, I'm just not so strong at it. That happens to me, but the good thing is that I do have Pluto as like a big planet providing a lot of energy for me in my life. And though I may not be good at reaching the end, I am really good at transformation. I love a transformation. And so, you know, this kind of like chapter of my life is all about transformation. Let's have breakfast together, by the way. Let's have breakfast together. I'm gonna put you in the tripod. How do we do this? I don't know if this is gonna be a flattering angle, but I just made a coffee, so let's pull it up before we get cold. I'm welcoming change and also transformation. Change can be quite chaotic. As the mind, it just wants to ask questions like what now, what now, what now, what now, and you overthink things, and you like keep jumping back into the past and questioning yourself, and you sort of realize that there's no bloody answers to your questions. Do you know what I mean? And you know, like it was a little bit chaotic. I was so much in my head, thinking, overthinking, overanalyzing, just like looking for signs and signals and looking for something, you know, some form of guidance. And that's the thing about changes, it's chaotic because you just don't know what to expect. You know, you don't know what to expect, and the unknown can be a little bit of a scary thing. But like I said, I've got that Pluto backing me up there, and so in some ways I'm not really afraid to go into the underworld. I quite enjoy it. If I take everything that I've learned about myself and then I go and step into a new chapter with all that information and be like, right, let's do something differently. What didn't I like about that version of me? Let's die and let's be born again. And so I'm embracing that. I was doing the nature talk videos, which people were enjoying. This chapter is going to be called the Hermits Diary. And, you know, it's going to be about sort of self-reflecting and hermiting and just generating a new way of life in which I'm more in solitude and in isolation and just working on myself and my things and seeing what happens. So this is the Hermit's Diary, really. And everything's going to be as basic and simple as possible. When change comes, your vision is so blurry, you have no idea what you're going to do, and you know, like that stuff can make you really, really, really bloody emotional. Do you know what I mean? Like this time when I got to that same place, I was like, how am I bloody here again? You know, like I felt like things were all going in the right direction, and then boom, I made a decision, but boom, everything was just like messed up, and now everything was blurry again. Life will keep testing you, do you know what I mean? You get out of it and then it will put you back there just to test you. How well did you really learn from that? And I had to think to myself, how well did I really learn from that? Like, you know, last time it was quite traumatic in my memory, and every other time it's been reasonably traumatic, and this time it's like up to me to really learn. And so I decided to sit there and be comfortable, do you know what I mean? Just allow my mind to go into all those places that it wanted to go, and then try and bring myself back to the present. Like I didn't try to fight it exactly. I just sat there and I was like, look, this is just happening, you know, this is change. This is change. Your mind is chaotic, your mind is hectic. This is change. And so sit with it, do you know what I mean? And don't be afraid of it, just sit with it. Sit with all the like questions and sit with all of it, and don't try and answer it. Just sit here and let those thoughts come through your head and just frickin' let them be, and just know that like what I'm going to do will reveal itself. And I had to learn to not just take action because I felt like I needed to do something. Do you know what I mean? Like when the time is right, it will come and it will be natural, and I guess the time is now. But I feel like the transition, that the hardest part of change, went a lot faster because I was able to do that, to sit in the chaos and not try and escape it, or not try and figure it out, do you know what I mean? Not try and figure out what the next thing was, just sit there and be in chaos, and that was kind of cool. So I really did learn something great there. And now we're on to the Hermits Diary, do you know what I mean? So let's see what happens, really. Let's see what happens. Anyway, I'm about to make breakfast nice and simple. We got some oats, we got some sugar, got a bit of coconut milk, some raisins. That is the breakfast. I'm going to be living on a diet of the gladiators. This is a delicious piece of fruit. It looks really bad and mouldy, but it isn't. It's really good. Welcome to the new chapter. I don't know why I'm looking at the microphone like it's the camera. Let's embrace change, let's embrace transformation. This is the Hermit's Diary. Warrior. So apparently the gladiators, you know, had a really simple diet of like oats and bread and barley and beans and stuff, and like I really like that kind of shit. I like to be basic, do you know what I mean? And like I struggle with it because food is my thing, that like it is my emotional thing that I confide in. Like say I'm heartbroken, for example, I will either like stop eating or like start eating vigorously. And I have dabbled in many different ways of eating because like, you know, that is a thing that I like care about, food, like, and eating. Like my idea has always been to be as basic as possible, you know, like real, as close to natural as possible. And I think that back in the day, you know, as much as there is an abundance of beauty, like simple is easy, simple is probably like, I wouldn't want to say the best way, but it's definitely a way that I think would work for me at least. So let's see how lean we can get as well, you know. There's lots of things, lots of little changes that I want to make in my life. I want to get my strength back, you know. And that, my friends, is my breakfast. Now don't you worry, I'm going to show you this fruit. It looks nasty, don't it? But it is delicious. I'm going to show you it when it comes to eating it. And look at that. Actually, that texture looks cool. Let's get you like right in on that. Look at it. If you haven't seen one of these before, look at that. I can show you the inside of that fruit. Delicious. And I'll try and explain the texture, the flavour. We'll do a whole, you know, palate tasting ting. Breakfast has been eaten. I always overdo the oats. I think that I can eat more than I can, and I get full really quick. So let's look at this bad boy. Okay, we need to cut it in something. So usually this thing is actually green, right? A bit more like this colour. But this is nice and ripe. Okay, how would I describe its texture? Maybe almost like a plant. Actually, a mushroom is a plant, but like, you know how like squid and mushroom have that sort of texture? That like squiddy mushroom texture. But not, because obviously it's really juicy and it's not like chewy. But that's the only way I can kind of describe its like body. And unfortunately, I cannot describe the taste. Actually, maybe like, think of like a green fruit pastel. That bit tasted like a green fruit pastel, but I do think that this one is like maybe just a little bit ripe for me because it's quite sweet. Okay. That's me and breakfast. Done. Camera's going off. Until I think of something else to say.